Good morning. It's 10:02 on, what is today? Tuesday, February 27th. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please rise, we will give the invocation. Holy Father, we need you. That's what we want to declare up front this morning. We need you for the rain that provides for us, for so many people. We need you to protect us, and we need you to give us guidance and wisdom, all of us in every area of our lives. Lord, this morning we ask that you would protect all of our firefighters and first responders today, in the next couple of days, as the conditions are set for pretty bad wildfire spread, and so we just pray that you would be with them. We ask for your provision, that you would protect us from it, but we ask that you would be with them today. Lord, we ask for our first responders to protect us just in general, that you would walk with them, protect them, and bless them as they work to keep us safe. Lord, I pray for the men on this dais with me. I pray that you would let us make wise decisions, that you would let us be humble and gracious in how we comport ourselves, and that you would just be with us to continue to develop and cultivate within us the heart for service that I know each of these men have. I pray that you would be over these court proceedings today. Walk with us, let us glorify you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Everyone may be seated. Except for Sherry Jones. So I asked Sherry to come up today because recently at the Healthy County Conference in 2024 that Texas Association of Counties puts on, Sherry was given the Lifetime Achievement Award. How often do they give those out, Sherry?
This is the first year.
So,
Yeah.
it tells us some good things and maybe some not so good things. I don't know.
That's even cooler being the first recipient. That's awesome.
So, how long have you been at the helm of our Healthy County program here?
15 years.
Okay. And so this happened a couple of weeks ago when she was gone, and this was at the conference, and we just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize the achievement, to recognize you, and thank you for the hard work you do, not only as a law librarian, but also heading up to Healthy County. And we wanted to give you time to speak to everybody out there, because we know how much you love to do that.
I was going to leave you into a workout, but. Anyway, it's a good thing.
Well, you represent Wichita County well. You always do every time. We appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
And do.
We couldn't do it without the human resources.
That's right.
They help.
That's right. Yeah, they're the, I guess they get the assist for the lifetime achievement.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Don, on this year you and the HR department started our new health fair.
Mhm.
It was very successful for a first event, and it's going to be even bigger this year.
Started out on this year.
So you're not only a great law librarian, you're also our biggest cheerleader.
Thank you.
No one exemplifies Wichita County better than you do, so and we appreciate that.
Sherry, you were here before I was here the first time. You have always been so positive. I always appreciate that. You're probably one of the most positive, encouraging people I know at the courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sherry is such a breath of fresh air when you walk in the morning, and she's always glad to see you and greet you, and that matters. It really does. It matters. Congratulations, and thank you for what you do.
That's why I like having her down there. We can always see her every day.
And for the health lady, she's got a tremendous
Candy,
roll.
yes.
That's motivation.
Tremendous candy roll.
That's morale building.
Sherry, thank you for everything you do. And Sherry helped me this morning find information that I needed. So you're invaluable in that regard, and then have always done a terrific job with Healthy County. and being active, and so thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
We love you, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That candy bullet gets me.
I thought that was just like for attorneys or something.
No. And if you let her know what specific kind of candy you like.
Oh, she'll
sometimes
keep
makes
it.
I've heard. I don't know.
Asking for a friend.
Yes, asking for a friend. All right, it is 10:08, and at this time we will open up for public comment. As a reminder, we ask that comments be limited to 5 minutes or less, and the court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comment. Do we have any public comment this morning? I've got one, go ahead.
Well, I just know that we sure, and Barry can add to that, about, I guess, paying attention
Yep.
to the fire deal. I know Hutchinson, Nancy sent us yesterday, Hutchinson and Armstrong having a terrible time, and I did speak with Cindy Irwin, and they are having a terrible time. So it's just something that I mentioned to Barry, that we burnt some wood piles that were well protected, but it wanted to creep and wanted to walk away. So it's drier than you'd suspect, and conditions are so.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
That was what I was gonna say, is just to give people a heads up. Pay extra attention today, be aware. If you see smoke and you're out somewhere, don't be afraid to call it in, and just don't be stupid. I mean, that's what it boils down to for a lot of this, so.
I have one thing I'd like to bring up. I did, while I was gone to the conference, I got a call. We had to shut down one of our roads, Freeburg Church Road. And we got a call about a citizen letting us know to go check the road. We went out and checked it. Foreman said it had come apart. It's collapsing. Part of it's already got a big hole there. So we shut down the road, shut down the bridge, put up barricades. We asked the Sheriff's Department to help us keep an eye on them. They have pretty much intentionally ran over all of our barricades and destroyed them, and they keep going across the road. I'd like to ask the citizens, if you want to tear up the barricades, that's one thing. Remember, it's costing your money for that to happen. Those barricades, they probably ruined $1,000 worth of them this last week. All we're trying to do is protect the public. I guess I could just dig out the whole thing and leave a big hole there, but we're trying to get figured out how we're going to repair that bridge or replace that bridge without breaking my entire precinct 2 budget. So if they'll just bear with us. Go ahead, Sheriff.
Just a suggestion, at the annex warehouse, we have plethora of guardrail.
Concrete guardrail.
No, the steel ones,
metal.
big steel ones that could be easily made in some barriers to just block the whole road. If they wanna run through it, they'll be there still whenever we get there. The other option too, also we have to close our little drive between production back to the service road, because the people who work at the building south of us, they're NASCAR drivers on F or something like that, because they don't drive right. We've actually had collisions there, major accidents, because they just take off and they just try to fly through there. So I talked to the judge, and we put some big blocks that you have to do a little serpentine to get through them, and the semi trucks aren't going through there and knocking down our signs anymore. But there's plenty of that guardrail. If y'all need some, we can get it to you, and Garland can make anything if you want to.
And I will, that brings up another point. You brought up signs, and we had 2 roads in the county in precinct 2 this week where they intentionally went through and ran down every road sign on the road for miles. Took out all our stop signs, or turn signs, or reflectors. They intentionally just ran over all of them. So if anybody has any information about that happening in the county, if they would call Crime Stoppers, call the Sheriff's Department, we'd be more than happy to get them some money to find out who's doing that, because stop signs cost me about $53 a piece. That's your county tax dollars that are being wasted. It cost us roughly $400 to go replace a sign, the pole, the labor, to do it all. And they were running down miles of signs, just intentionally running them over. So I would appreciate any help out there from the citizens.
And those areas like that too, they'll black out, especially if they see any headlights coming, and patrol runs through there. But if you don't see anything, it's like catching the poachers out there deer hunting all year round. Not that that happens up there,
Commissioner, what roads?
Daniels Road was one, and I'd have to call Jimmy back. He said the other one. There were 2 roads that they ran them all down. They were out replacing them all yesterday. It's just,
I bet $1, it's high school kids,
Yeah.
and if we get some, I think they have a Crop Stops program up there in Burton at school.
and that's
We need to get hold of them.
That's why I put it out there, because if we can get the word out, I mean, somebody knows. I mean, somebody's laughing about it, making fun of it. I'd love to let them
Yeah.
pay some restitution to, back to the county residents.
We've had a rash of it too in the last 30 days. Several those stop signs being gonna kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
the bad thing.
What they don't realize is if actually somebody does get killed because of a stop sign they ran over, they are liable if they get,
Yeah.
if they're found out, so.
It's hard for the crews to keep up with the amount of signs they're actually tearing up. We can't get them. And then we have to order them. It's nothing about it's any good. Just kills our budget, kills our time, kills our,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, it is 10:13. Public comment is closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I've got one set of corrections to make. Consent agenda item number 18. Let me pull out my new language here.
Did you, is there a handout on that, Judge? Here?
No, what I handed out is the court order that's being amended from
Oh,
the
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay.
So the change that I'm proposing here, there's a couple of them. So, and you backup documents, you can see the actual purchase agreement with the amounts on it. We've got 3 things we're paying for with this item. The first is the purchase amount of the new Pitney Bowes equipment, which is $21,291.68. That's not changing. The monthly maintenance amount of $151, and then in parentheses $2470.50. I may have gone to school at the University of Oklahoma, but even I know that doesn't add up.
No, it's 2 separate things, sorry.
Yeah, so what that is that's 2 separate things. We've got a monthly parts rental amount essentially of $151 a month, and then an annual maintenance agreement amount of $2,470.95. So what I am proposing is that we change the language to read, the purchase amount will be $21,291.68 with a monthly parts rental amount of $151 and an annual maintenance agreement amount of $2,470.95. And then the final change will be, this will be paid out of Department 409, not 499. Yeah.
A couple of questions or one question for Cheryl on 2 items. The 2 with paying bills for indigent services, like 8 and 20. Is that just truing up last year's?
Yeah, so we've already closed the 23 budget, so
Okay.
we still need to pay these bills, so we're gonna have to
Yeah,
pay them.
okay. I
that's
figured
all.
that's what it was. Just wanted to understand that.
That's what most of this is, it's bills
It's a lot of
that came
truing
in.
up. I kind of thought that.
Yeah.
Okay, 17, did we buy special ammunition?
My understanding is that Constable Burchett got some buckshot. He did not go through the SO's office, he did go through a vendor for the SO, but as the budget requirements say
Yeah.
that all ammunition is to be purchased through the sheriff's department, it didn't, so that's why we're putting this on here.
Do you need something special that we
I-
didn't have?
It's in the budget, it says they have to. have
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
don't know, it's what, 700 rounds of buckshot?
7 or 800 rounds of buckshot.
I'm not
Double
sure.
lock.
It's not because what he bought, it's because he didn't go through the
Yeah.
sheriff's.
Right.
No, that's,
It's just,
And I don't know where the miscommunication was.
I don't.
We have let him know that he has to go through the sheriff's
Right,
office.
right.
That's the way that all of our constables obtain their ammunition
Yes,
is
sir.
Yes.
to go through them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because they can get a better deal usually
Yeah.
with how they.
I don't know on this one that it was I think you got the same deal. but that's
It's-
what's
it
in
was
the
out
budget,
of-
that's how we have
right.
ammunition purchases. That's how
This is
it's
just,
done.
you know, us enforcing y'all's budget court orders, and so in order to pay this, I just need y'all's okay on that.
Do y'all know if he reached out to
He did.
the sheriff's office?
After I told him he did, but
Oh.
not before, no. He talked to Wish after I talked to him about it.
And is
Probably
that
got the
something
vendor
we
from-
keep on hand? I mean, you had it
Correct, we have,
inventory?
we have ample supply of double-aught buckshot to be distributed to the constable's office.
Okay.
And I believe the sheriff's office keeps it in a more controlled environment that is more beneficial for that purpose, rather than sitting on a shelf and,
An actual armory?
Yes, our storage facility is heated and cooled and controlled access.
Very controlled access.
Mhm.
We just need to reiterate with all of our constables that that is a budget requirement.
But the product has already been ordered and arrived.
That's correct.
that is correct, that is why we're, and everyone should have a copy of the budget. I provided one to every office.
And Wish did relate to me that all of the other, he sends an email when he's gonna place an order.
Yeah.
Do you need anything extra? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they all respond, maybe except for him,
Correct.
to that email.
Yeah.
So he sends it to everybody. They know we haven't had a problem with anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause I order ammunition once annually prior to the price increase. April 1 is the normal price increase from our distributor, and we're seeing 15 to 20% price increases annually. So I've been trying to order prior to the price increases due to budgets.
Right.
And then- So we stock ample supplies of ammunition.
Well, and we don't wanna double up and have, y'all
Correct.
got it.
Right.
Yes.
There were a number of reasons why we did that, and that's, we need to stay with that, so.
Mhm.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments, changes on consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. Approve as amended.
As amended. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the items?
Well, I do, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Just to be clear, because I'm not, on 17, we're not gonna send that back and go through the sheriff's office?
That's, that right now, yes, that's.
I think you-
this will pay.
Pay a restocking fee, I bet you, it would, if we're getting it at the same price as we would have for the sheriff's department, I
Yeah.
believe. I mean, I believe that they've already reached out to him plenty to know not to do it again.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think
Oh, okay.
we make send an email or something that's the last.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a number of reasons we did it that way.
Questions, comments on the motion or the items? All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, going to general business, item number 1. Review and approve the regular bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and order county treasurer to disperse payroll and/or bills within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically, unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and delivered in the treasurer's office.
So,
Second. All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham to approve, verify, and order. Any questions, comments on the motion or the item? All right, the motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. All right, for item number 2, as much as I know everyone loves listening to me read bids for janitorial and paper supplies, we're gonna move that to the very end of the agenda, including after closed session, because we do have a hard stop for a couple of commissioners. And if there's anything that not everyone needs to be present for, it's me reading. So we're gonna, if there's no objection, I'm gonna move that to the very end of today's agenda. All right. Item number 3, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve M&F Liticon Annex 2022 renovations proposal request number 22 to install ceramic tile with a 4-inch high accent band on fixture walls with second floor restrooms currently being renovated. On all other walls, a 48-inch high ceramic tile wainscot and a 4-inch accent band. Additional cost is $25,960 and includes the work, tape, bed, texture, and epoxy paint above the wainscot. Commissioner Beecham, is this yours or?
I'll take it. So, if you remember back when we did the change to our contract on the annex and added that additional contingency, this was an item of discussion during that Commissioners Court meeting. We had a bid already for the work in the restrooms. It was determined in that meeting that we wanted to look at a cheaper method. This is cheaper. It's a $7,000 credit on the tile work. And it actually is a $1,200 ad for painting, tape bed and texture, additional tape bed and texture and painting. So $5,800 less than the original proposal that we tentatively approved with instructions to go look for a cheaper alternative. So while it shows an additional $25,960, that's kind of misleading.
It's $25,960 compared
Yep.
to $31,700.
Yeah.
Well, $31,760 and then minus $1,200.
Yeah, so that's removing the full ceiling height tile all the way around both bathrooms. It's just ceiling height tile on the wet walls and wainscoting on the rest of them.
Okay. Any questions on?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concanon. Do we have any questions or comments on the item or the motion? All right, the motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Item number 4, discuss, consider, and/or take action on proposal from Enterprise Fleet Management for Wichita County vehicles and authorize the county judge to sign the contract. Our favorite Enterprise representative is here in the house once again. As we talked about, so it was about a month ago, at this point we've discussed this a bunch over the last 6 to 8 months. We're at the position now where the sheriff's office needs to make some purchases of vehicles, and so we can't really put it off anymore. We need to decide if we're going to move forward with this or not, and if we are going to move forward, in what capacity. And so that's why I've got this on the agenda today, because whatever decision we make is that's the court's will, but we've got to make a decision one way or the other for at least this year, so that vehicle purchases can be made. With that, Nick, did you want to say anything?
Yeah. Kind of speak in general as far as what the kind of the process and next step would be for moving forward. As I've mentioned probably multiple times every meeting, the vehicle market is very dynamic at times. So what happens beyond today, if the court so chooses, is they're obviously authorized judge to execute our master agreements. And then from there, there's gonna be dialogue with the individual department heads or precincts regarding, finalizing the specifications on vehicles, ordering any equipment that's needed. That then goes to the precinct or the department head, whoever it might be, to approve the specs, and then it goes to the judge to ultimately sign off on those vehicles prior to us ordering those vehicles. So it's a process. If the court approves today, it's like I'm gonna go get 90 vehicles. I'm gonna see they'll be here tomorrow. It's gonna be an ongoing process for us to get through all this. Number one, I think number two, I think the discussion from last meeting was how are we going to fund the vehicles? Do we want to do it from capital, or how are y'all want general operating funds, or how are y'all want to do that, or do we want to use a financing mechanism to do so?
And we can do that on a case by case.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even have to be all or nothing. Y'all can choose. If we have a plethora of funds at one point in time, y'all want to cut a bunch of checks, that's okay. what you save by doing that is, we have a lower management fee associated with self-funding. And then and the interest, obviously the interest cost as well. You avoid, now y'all definitely do have a cost of funds somewhere that's impacting it in there somewhere. So the delta is probably not that large between that. It's actually pretty nominal if you really look at it. But I think that's a decision there. I mean, I'll give you I always give you the positives and negatives of self-funding versus using a financing mechanism. Is sometimes it can be disciplined to a plan that can be a challenge some years when funding is lacking, some years because it takes a lot more capital to replace a bunch of vehicles than it does to use a funding mechanism to do so. That's why I would say the vast majority of government entities we work with tend to use a financing mechanism of some sort with us rather than that, just unless you have a fully funded vehicle equipment replacement fund out there that's very robust that can handle all the requirements, because as y'all can seen from the synopsis and everything I put out there, there's ebbs and flows of buying vehicles. Some years we need to buy 50, some years we need to buy 15 or whatever it is, right? So that capital requirement can be a constraint from a discipline from the plan standpoint. But always, like I said, we're okay with whatever the county decides from that perspective. And I think also that when specific to the sheriff's department, they're saying, but getting to a more defined cycling point allows them to really fine tune their fleet down to what they need to be operational versus having to carry spares, which you pay insurance on, pay maintenance on, all the other things associated with it, which is some of the areas where we're making some financial headway for the county is by being able to right size and right type the fleet and bring vehicles up to current safety standards and current operating standards compared to the vehicle I was bought 10 plus years ago. So I think those are kind of the large talking points as far as what to expect beyond today.
Yeah, and it's really kind of three different decisions if we do decide to move forward that we'll be making for every vehicle that we decide we want to put into the management program. If we're going to purchase it, are we going to do a lease purchase agreement? Are we going to self-fund? Then what level of maintenance agreement are we going to do? Because the basic one, as y'all remember, was I think $6 a month and that's a pay-as-you-go, where essentially they're just managing, helping to direct who goes where, keeping track of that. So that's $72 a year per vehicle. Or there's what I call the prepaid car and prepaid maintenance insurance, which was for non-pursuit rated vehicles was $300. It would come out to about $350 a year.
Yeah, it varies a little bit between vehicle, but it's really meant to be a fixed cost from month one to month whatever the holding period, so there's no ebb and flow. And how I always like to really explain it is you're paying a little bit more in the first year, paying a lot less in the last year, but it all should even out. It just takes, from a budgetary standpoint, makes things very predictable, and that's why most government entities we work with do that.
Yeah, so that's the second decision would be which level of maintenance we do on it for the management. And then the third one is not something that we talked a ton about, and I didn't really even run numbers on it, was the telematics piece, because I didn't think we were gung-ho about doing that from day one. So,
just all commissioner vehicles, right? That's ones we're tracking.
Yes, that's right.
Extra, yeah.
What
there are no commissioner vehicles.
Yeah, we don't have commissioner vehicles.
And we can put that on all ours.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something that usually, sometimes we'll get it going out of the gates, but usually that's hey, let's get this stuff implemented. There's a lot of steps. My team and we have a lot of work to do from this yes. I wish it was a yes and a hey, we're off to the races, but there's a lot of work. And then let's get that sort of settled, they get the plan progressing, and then do we want to put tracking on vehicles? There's benefits, operational benefits from a liability standpoint to doing that, but we'll usually address that in a later court meeting. Yeah.
And Nick, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Once we deplete our overage of spares and we've gotten a buy down and we're fairly tight.
Yep.
And the sheriff's department, somebody smashes one of their units and it comes out of commission. It's going to take you a few months to get that ideal unit back in to us.
Typically, yes.
What do we do in the interim?
Kind of like what they do today. They're just still gonna have some spares. They can't. There's no way they could possibly go without a single spare. I mean, they're gonna have to have some. They just don't have to have as many as they do today. Because it's not if that happens, it's when that happens. It's just the nature of the beast of doing what the work that they do. So we're gonna have that. So we're gonna have to deal with it a similar way, but we just don't have to have as many because some of the reason we're having as many because we have downtime for maintenance that we're not necessarily gonna have.
Well, I guess my question is, does Enterprise intercede in there and lease us a vehicle if, let's say it's not the sheriff's office, let's say it's somewhere else, maybe it's the DA's
Yeah.
investigative units or
Standard
something.
automobile.
Yeah, I can see
Standard
it
automotive.
Yeah, police ones are a little bit more complicated for sure because they flat sirens a little bit. But other ones we happen to own a little rental car business too, so we do tend to do that. If we have a vehicle down and it's during an essential period of time where we can't have a vehicle down, yeah, we can provide a rental car. Obviously, the county's going to pay for the rental, but we have a statewide contract on that the county would piggyback off of for those. And I mean, it is going to happen too. And then, depending on how most counties don't have any sort of loss of use coverage built into what they pay in, so y'all would just pay for the rental car as it incurs. The only time it'd be different is if we are providing the physical damage coverage for the county, or Enterprise provides that, then we do provide a loss of use of provides vehicle during downtime in event of a wreck or something like that. But it kinda answers.
It's my understanding that as we get into this thing and get it up and operating, we will be rolling equipment over. In other words, you will dispose of
Correct.
the old unit, replace it, but the initial, how are we gonna handle that on the initial deal? Are we going to do are we gonna spin off the excess equipment, or is that part of the package?
That's part of that's our job unless y'all want to sell them.
Right.
I mean, what happens is we order a new vehicle.
Yeah.
It comes in when it comes in type thing. When they arrive, we pick up old vehicle, we take it to market, we get it sold on the county's behalf, unless y'all want to sell
Well, I
it yourself.
understand, once you get the program going,
Right.
that works, but I didn't know about the initial.
Even on initial.
Even
And
on
that's,
initial.
and that's part that I like. The more they can do, the more we don't have to do.
Oh, I
Seems
agree.
like the
Well, that was my
better use
question,
of
whether
money.
that was, that's an option then.
Yeah, unless you want to start a used car lot somewhere, but otherwise, yeah, we pretty much need to sell those for you.
It's a dent scratch part.
Yeah.
And
Hey, we can buy the property across the street over here.
Stack them deep and sell them cheap out there. Right?
I
Sure.
do think that, Nick, we've got, and it'll need clarification from both our district attorney's office as well as sheriff's department, because there's vehicles that are outside of our scope
Yeah.
that are controlled differently.
I think we went through some of those because we talked about that a couple weeks ago. We went through the list, and we kind of I marked some that were funded differently that we need to get an opinion on the constraints around how those funds are treated. Because some, depending on where it came out, there could be a covenant associated with that grant that says, okay, yeah, the county has to hold it for a minimum of X number of months or years. After that period of time, either the county can retain funds or the funds have to go back into a specific fund. Y'all just have to, as we progress through that, as we hit those vehicles, you'll just have to advise us so we can have a plan associated with them.
And I think the best way for us to proceed on that would be anything that's in question, whether it's forfeiture funds to the DA or the sheriff's office, because the court doesn't have jurisdiction over those anyway. They just don't get part of the fleet management list that we send in. We don't pay anything on those. They're just treated as kind of a separate
Yeah.
beast completely.
Usually what happens with those for most other counties is we will manage them from an operational standpoint to make sure all the operational expenses are going. And then once they hit that covenant period, whatever it is, at that time we will know what we got to do. We'll still go and sell. If that asset needs to be sold, we'll still go sell it. But then when we credit the funds back, you also have to make sure you
Right.
treat them
Those
properly.
funds go back to those prospective
Yeah.
offices to be under their control, but the county currently is paying the maintenance on those vehicles already.
Okay.
So we have to need to track the operating expenses associated with them, but how you treat the funds from the proceeds of sale, or in the point in time when you have to replace it, where the funds come from to actually replace that vehicle.
Right.
Does it come out of a fund? So that's where it kind of goes back to, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, because maybe we get grant funds again, and we can use those funds to go buy a vehicle, so you're not necessarily quote unquote financing that vehicle. So that's why it doesn't have to be, there's a lot of flexibility in that based on what it is. And there's so many different grants and covenants associated with it. I've seen it done
Luckily,
million
to
different
date,
ways.
we have no grants paid that have
Right.
paid
Oh,
vehicles.
yeah, it's just
So
forfeiture,
far, we have
but-
not.
Yeah, forfeiture funds, and then,
Just
that's a little simpler, then you just have to make sure it goes back to the
Yeah,
forfeiture fund.
yeah.
Yes, Sheriff?
The jail vehicles we have, you know, all that was purchased out of the DCI.
Right, that, it falls into the same
So
realm.
we
as
sell it
forfeiture.
at auction, that money, what we can get for it.
Goes to you.
goes back to it.
Well, and in that case, could those two entities have separate agreements?
Yeah.
With
We
y'all?
don't have to have separate agreements. We create what's called a sub.
Okay.
A sub, so we subsection them off to where they have their own kind of accounting procedures for those individual
That makes sense.
funds or operating entities, and which is very common. So, I mean, most counties, we have we call subs of subs, and subs of subs of subs sometimes, depending on, maybe it'll be a sheriff, we have a sheriff master, we have to break that off into a
But,
separate.
so, Nick, how long do you think it'll take to have a fully developed schedule of vehicles?
I think once, it's approved and we got everything, we're gonna start trying to source vehicles, next week, as soon as we start figuring out the best way to source them. So it'll probably take us at least like 30 to 60 days to get the actual full plan, like going onto a path of some sort. Because even between even within the last week, we've had manufacturers close down government ordering, some reopen government ordering, some have put some close dates on it, so it's very dynamic. So we'll just have, my team over the next, from the time you say yes, we get the agreement signed in the next few days, within the first week, we're doing a massive amount of work, kind of putting the framework of the schedule, try to address, call it 80% of the fleet, and there's gonna be a certain subset that we can't really touch, and so we'll go back to the department head or commissioner and say, hey, here's what's going on, this vehicle, it's specially, we can't order them right now, here's two other choices for acquisition, either we go source from a dealer somewhere, or we source it from a pool if it's available. If none of those options are available, we'll say, we recommend, let's punt this one to maybe next fiscal year, in the event that, unless it's a vehicle that's in dire need, and then we're gonna escalate it, because we're not gonna ever really recommend, don't go out and overpay for a vehicle we don't necessarily need to. That's part of what you're hiring us to do.
Is availability generally better?
It's getting a little better. I think there's certain things like chassis, cab chassis are still very constrained. I would say they're getting a little bit better. Pickup trucks, half ton, 3/4 tons are getting better right now. There's so many different ways you can do vehicles. You can do what's called bed delete chassis. That's a little bit easier to get into than you get to a pure like 60-inch cabbed axle plus, which is getting super technical with it. But,
Sheriff, we've gotta keep at least one Crown Vic.
They don't make
Yeah.
it. We have one.
I'm a big proponent of always having one punishment vehicle out there in the sheriff's department, so that one guy who
We
messed
have a
up.
Crown Vic and a Charger.
There you go.
Okay, full set.
Sheriff's Museum.
One Crown Vic and a '63 Dodge.
Yeah.
I think Chief Norris,
I've heard so much about the 63 Dodge. That's great.
Chief Norris, did you want to say something?
Yes, I was wondering, do you have a third-party company that comes in and outfits the vehicles?
Yeah, we typically use a vendor that y'all already are currently using if you have one that you like.
Okay.
If you don't like your vendor for whatever reason, then we'll bring some to the table that we
Okay, that's what I was
recommend.
curious, if they have to use your third party, or can they bring you?
Yeah, typically we don't try, especially on technical stuff with fire and PD related or sheriff's related. We typically don't try to upset that too much because the
Okay.
specs are so complicated.
Right.
And you might really like the vendor, of course, the vendor you like this year might not like him next year, but whatever y'all like, we try
So
to.
they're not locked in?
No, we're not locked into it. In the day, we don't do any physical work ourselves. We use third-party vendors for all the outfitting and aftermarket equipment for the vehicle. So we'll either use someone you like, or if y'all don't have someone, we'll bring that to the table.
All right.
And Nick, when our list
Yep.
is complete and we're up and running, can you incorporate and utilize in the list our county numbers,
Oh, yeah.
vehicle recognition numbers?
Oh, yeah, there's gonna be a training after this, by the way, we're gonna train you, because even on the website, you can go and enter in numbers, you can change numbers, you can transfer vehicles, you can add drivers. It's a lot
Because
of things.
everything from our perspective also is going to have to be insurance-wise moved in and out when that occurs, and that helps us there.
Yep.
But also, there's a requirement for, like when the sheriff does acquire a Tahoe and then extra equipment is added, can the list and our commissioner's road and bridge truck that has special equipment,
Yep.
can that be segregated so that we have insurance request us a vehicle and an equipment?
Yeah, we have to, because we have, well, just for our own accounting procedures, we segment out, here's the vehicle cost or the chassis cost, and here's the aftermarket equipment cost. We have to detail all that out anyway, so y'all have that. I mean, it's all available through the website as well. So you'll be able to click on the vehicle and know what's going on there.
And Judge, on that, on their special vehicles and the DA special vehicles, it would be advantageous to have a comprehensive list, because otherwise we're partial here and partial here, because we are insuring all of those collectively. So,
and I'm all for, and probably need to work it out with the elected officials in charge of it, the sheriff and the
Sure.
DA. I'm all for that, and having them part of the maintenance agreement. Just don't want to step on their toes from the.
right, absolutely. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible when it comes to insurance and the renewal of insurance and looking at what we've got and don't have.
And it is good to have that transfer option, because we do transfer some vehicles from time to time.
Sure.
Or even equipment for that matter, off a vehicle to a new
Sure.
new vehicle sometimes can be beneficial. You know, maybe it's a toolbox that we can reuse. If we can reuse
Right.
it, let's do that versus buying a new one. So the only thing that we would be able to transfer that equipment over, maybe the only cost would be the actual transfer cost of whatever the equipment. It could be a flatbed or it could be a service body, whatever we can transfer.
Mr. Beecham, if that 63 Dodge is a two-door sedan with a 413 on it.
Unfortunately, it's not.
Let's hang
It's
on
a
to
nice
it.
welding truck, though.
More questions?
I just want to check my basic math on this. Essentially, we're talking about we're buying a vehicle, we're doing management of vehicles through y'all.
Yep.
And separate from maintenance, it ends up being about $1,000 per vehicle for management of it. When you factor in the management fee, the delivery and the other fees, an annualized service charge, because at the end of every lease, there's a $400 service charge.
Let me think about this. So you, I'm gonna use round dollar amounts here so I can do. Let's say the management fee of that vehicle is $40 a month, right? You're gonna have, $480 a year in actual management fees associated with that vehicle. If you have the full maintenance program on that vehicle, it's not necessarily a fee per se, but it's covering all the actual costs too. So I don't know if that's really that part of that. The only other fee that you might have is if it's what we call maintenance management or the pay-as-you-go program, you'd have that $6 a month, so that's $72 a year. So you'd be about $552 annual for that same vehicle in terms of management fees themselves.
And that applies to acquired vehicles brought in by you.
Correct.
Not existing.
Not existing. Only the existing. Only thing they
We're
have
gonna
is
flush
$6
them
$6
as
a
they-
month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the existing is just $6 a
Yeah.
month, so.
Okay.
So $72 a
And,
year.
and Judge, I believe the telematics portion, the sheriff's department can deal with that how they need to, but I don't see the need to do others that way
Let's
outside.
crawl before we walk here.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you all there. Let's kind of get things going. Then if we need to say the sheriff's department wants to do telematics, but maybe precinct 1 doesn't want that's okay too. There's no one size fits all to this. We're going to provide recommendations there. There's some operational benefits to it. We'll address that at a later date. I don't think we should bog down on that.
Well, and I mean, we have talked about this before. When I originally brought Nick in almost a year ago to address this the first time, what attracted me to this was having somebody who it's their whole job to professionally manage maintenance and your vehicle fleet. Because I had heard coming in complaints from all over the county about not really that being a cohesive plan and being able to keep all of that stuff under control. And not even control's the wrong word, but just being able to have the data and
Manage.
information to manage it. And so when we came in, that was what initially attracted me, and that still is the biggest thing. I think there's going to be some extra cost in the short run, but I'm convinced that we're going here anyway eventually, and it's better to have someone who that's their whole job doing it rather than us try to piecemeal it together with various positions within the county, or to not manage it. And
You're
keep
right,
doing
there's
what we're
additional
doing.
cost up in the initial phases, but over time, it'll end up saving us money, I believe.
I believe that too.
Well, a prime example, and I don't know that I shared on this instance, but that happened to us at school last week. We were informed by other commissioners that our buy-board dealership was either changing ownership or had closed. So I immediately went to the phone and got on and started calling, trying to figure out, because I had a vehicle sitting there, or I'm supposed to have a vehicle sitting there en route. Well, we couldn't validate any of that about the dealership having issue, and then there's a third-party equipment that puts the equipment on, and I reach out to them as well, and they said, yes, we've got your truck here, we've got it equipped, and it should go back to the dealership to come to you quickly. Well, then I start receiving a few emails, and I said, this is not what I ordered. And they said, you got to be kidding me. After 3 different attempts to quote what I wanted, and thinking all the bugs are out, it's the wrong size truck. And it had the right, or had part of the right equipment on it, but not completely. So now they did have another vehicle, and we can move forward without waiting another 6 months, but that's all a hassle.
Yeah.
That is very much a hassle in something that should be simplistic, that, and you just have to stay on top of all the time. And to your point, that's more managed this way.
Yeah, in the future, like when y'all order a vehicle, like everyone's gonna log into their purview of vehicles, and you'll be able to see where it's at in the production process. You know, if it's being built, it's shipped, is it at the aftermarket equipment company being outfitted, is it ready to go? All that report's automated through our website as well. You're not tracking them down, as well as the equipment. We have a whole team. Their job is just auditing aftermarket equipment and like advising. Like if you're like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z put on a truck, we're like, you can do that on this one. We don't recommend it because that's going to overweight it. We recommend doing this instead. We have a logistics team that their whole job is that. I can't imagine doing that job every day. It's very tedious technical work. That's their whole job, is just dialing down those little nuances.
That's
of
good that we
equipment.
can follow it, because every vehicle I've purchased since I've been on this court, I have had nothing but a hard time finding out what the status is, when it's gonna be delivered, where it's at in production. And all I get is,
Yeah.
oh, it's coming.
It's
coming. It's on its way.
It's in the mail.
Yeah.
It's in the mail.
and
Yeah, for sure.
The fact that we're gonna have somebody watching for that peak time to roll that equipment over, we've never done that before.
No.
We have no idea when is there is a right time to change that stuff out, and we're not managing that. We're not checking it out, and that could be huge.
Yeah, I don't expect. I mean, y'all got a lot of things. Y'all are talking about wainscoting on doors, on walls, and all kinds of very technical stuff that's going on within the county, right? And you know, I call vehicles a necessary evil for the county, and you worry about when you have to worry about it, and that's why counties hire us.
And
But
from
there is a time to do it,
Yeah.
and we don't have any way to judge that.
It's a moving target too. I'll tell you that also.
Yeah.
From a budgeting perspective for all of us too, having not just a good 1 year plan, but really being able to project out 2, 3 multi-years
Oh, yeah.
is good and worthwhile and worth a lot, in my opinion. So
Can I say something?
yeah, sure.
In the past, I'll use 8 years, the sheriff's office come to court to get a plan. It was on a lease plan originally, and then the judge at the time, he wanted us to get a 5-year plan went through all the hula hoops, got that set up and everything. The court agreed on, hey, it's a great deal, we're gonna do that. And a year later, it just got sabotaged and blew up, and it put us back. And then whenever we, the constables needed vehicles, that's when we gave 5 or 6 of the good ones. They weren't the top end ones, but they weren't the demolition derby ones either. And that really put us back, especially since we had a couple fleets that's really significant accidents. And so that's why we still have 5 2015s. 14s, I'm sorry, 14. And so they're reliable to go down the road. Doesn't mean you're gonna get there and get back, but it's just they're there and we still have them. And so
Well,
and I am very much hoping this goes through, because this will not only help the sheriff's office, I know the county, your guys, y'all stuff. I've seen some of y'all's equipment. Of course, I've been here a long time. I still see stuff that was there 40 years ago, 30 years ago, that not too many yards over there, but I know electric man has some stuff out there. It's cleaned up since then.
Those pretty blue trucks.
Them nice blue trucks.
well, and ultimately, a court still, we get to control how much of the throttle we put on and how quickly we're making those decisions. And so,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Sheriff.
My only other question from a purchasing standpoint, there's no questions we can do this, there's
No,
no
we're
hurdles we
set,
have to
we're good to
jump?
go,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm good to make a motion. I just don't know how much you wanna include in the motion, cause I'd like to make a motion to move forward with it. But
I think that a motion to move forward with it and then authorize me to sign the contract pending final negotiation and attorney review would.
then,
We don't know the cost because we don't know how many vehicles we're,
right.
Right.
that's,
Well,
that's
we've
an
looked at the-
as.
We have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, we've looked at the charts enough to know that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know what our budgetary constraints are with it.
Yeah, we've still got to live within our
If you'll
budget.
make the motion, I'll
Motion to-
second it.
motion to move forward with Enterprise Fleet Management and to authorize the judge to sign the contract.
I'll second it. It's a good move.
All right,
That's
we've got a motion from Commissioner Fincannon to move forward with Enterprise Fleet Management and authorize county judge to sign the contract. It was seconded by Commissioner Beecham. Not trying to push it along too fast. If we've got any other questions, by all means, ask them. But if we've got any questions or comments on the motion or the item, actually, question,
just-
do we?
And just the motion did include after the review and,
Yes, yes.
Pending
both.
review.
Okay. Motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
I guess you're coming back to see us again.
I will. I'll see you. You'll have to see me at least a couple more times, probably. I do have one quick question for you. As we go through and also get a master agreement signed, all that, and we start ordering vehicles, do you want the vehicle orders to come back through
Yes.
court every single time? Okay. All right. So we'll plan around that. Because sometimes, if we go source them off dealer a lot, you know how hot those get at times.
Well,
So
and I
that's
know
why-
a lot of counties just the county judge just signs off on them. I know that all 4 of these guys trust me implicitly, but I'd like
I see
things to
winking
come
over there.
before,
I don't know
come
why.
before the full court.
Yeah.
It's just good
Yeah,
for all
good.
of us to have the full information
Yeah,
and picture. of
we're
what's
good
going
with
on.
whatever. We just know the constraints that we're under.
And all that's gonna help us learn the system.
Yep.
For 100%. 100%.
We'll
And-
know
and
a lot more about it.
That is true for everything except the 2 subcategories we talked about.
Right.
They'll deal with those departmentally.
Yeah, perfect. Sheriff's vehicles too, you want to run them back through you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Nick.
See y'all
Thank you.
again very soon.
I suspect we'll have questions.
Yeah.
I expect so.
At least Jeff will.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us will. It's a training period.
It took me a second.
All right, item number 5, discuss, consider, and/or take action on the management of election administrators' internet hotspots.
Judge, yesterday we had a very good meeting, and I think we've worked out some great aspects here that'll help everyone. And I'd just like to move that we, on our basic commercial hotspots that run our machines, that we move those to election administrator for management, and then the elevated hotspots that we talked about some plan there that the commissioners can assist with possibly that would allow us to move in the event of emergency. And so I think the auditor's office brought that to us there as well as a possibility, and I think would be my motion, that we just move towards that management, get the burden off of the auditor, and then let them correspond via email or whatever to turn on and off as needed for elections.
Okay. So just to be clear, it's kind of a two-part motion. The first is that the basic commercial hotspots that are used for.
We have a separate account, so maybe if you could just say the elections hotspots
Okay.
would be more appropriate.
So the first part is elections hotspots. Management will fall under the supervision of the elections administrator. That's part one. And then the second part is in case of a bona fide emergency where internet goes down and we need hotspots out at voting locations, commissioners court members, the commissioners and the county judge will all have a FirstNet hotspot that we understand we will be giving to the locations to run in case of an outage.
Would that be just us, or would it be any elected official that has one that, I mean, if need be?
If it were such a situation that the only hotspots that were working were FirstNet, then what we would just need to make sure we'd probably, in such an emergency, we'd have to condense election locations.
And what we discussed yesterday, Mick, was 5 would get us out of a bind.
Yeah.
5 would get us in the middle of a general election out of trouble.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's our minimum by state law that we would need to revert.
And the reason I bring that up is the AT&T last week, and a lot of, just saying this for the citizens, we actually reached out to our constable at a precinct 2 to get a hotspot to help with the election. We do whatever we can as a county to work together to make stuff happen, so I just wanna make sure that any elected official knows that if we need to use it for some emergency in the county, we would appreciate getting to use it.
Sure, and we run into some trouble there on if we've got, and if we've got again, a bona fide emergency that we're talking about here, can't really take from law enforcement. It's probably gonna have their own job to be doing at that time to do it. This way though, in such an event, and I think all the commissioners, you'd have your FirstNet cell phone that you would still have full ability to do your job, and we would turn those hotspots over, because if it's election day, it's moving forward.
I don't have either.
We're
Hotspot
ordering,
or-
we're ordering the hotspots for all of you, so that will
Yeah.
be your backup should this happen.
And again, probably never will, but we've got an emergency.
I think in the past, we did use those same hotspots that were there for elections. And I think when the flood, we used a couple of them out in an emergency situation.
I
Is
have
that
spares.
what?
I had to keep a couple of spares in the
Yeah,
office.
that's what,
Some people don't
am I
really wanna
remembering
pay
that
the
correctly?
monthly fee for it,
Yeah.
but they occasionally go out of town
Right.
and need a hotspot, so I have a
Right.
couple of spares in my
Yeah,
office.
I was thinking that's the way we had done that in the past, and it seemed to work out.
Mine had broke a few years ago, and Margaret had a spare on hand, and I didn't have to.
Right, so
that
then we just
immediate-
have the spare and then replace the
Yeah,
spare,
okay,
but
yeah.
we try to keep that covered because we don't want you traveling and hooking your laptop, and IT can attest to that, to the hotel Wi-Fi. We'd just rather you borrow the one from our office.
Okay, so yeah, that's the motion by Commissioner Watts. Do we have a second by Commissioner Kincannon? All right. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion or the item itself? Okay, motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Item number 6, receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annexes. Commissioner Beecham?
Well, if you've been over to the annex lately, you've seen a lot of progress took place in the last 2 weeks, so. Framing right now on the property tax side, HVAC work. Now that we've approved the tile work, they'll start the 2 restrooms hopefully later this week. I think that was the plan, to get that approved and move on. And they got the the lettering up on the building last week, it looks really good.
You bet.
Yeah, it looks.
Is everybody as proud of that building from the outside when you drive by now compared to what it was a
Oh,
year ago? I
it-
see it
it's
every day.
not
and I
even the
think,
same
wow,
building.
What a tremendous change. It actually looks like a place of business, and we ought to be really proud of that.
They're moving really fast on the remodel of the property tax side, so really, really thrilled about that. 30th District Court, got some mock-ups on the woodwork. We'll have them do a full mock-up and stain, a full stain mock-up so we can get a better idea of how it all plays together in space. But it looks awesome. I can't wait to get the full mock-up. The level of detail, it's going to be impressive, so.
And no debt for the taxpayer. We should never forget that. We're not sitting there strapping something on the next generation. It's gonna have to be paid for.
It's gonna be nice, so I guess everything else and still needs some finished work here on the first courthouse project, but that's pretty close to wrapping up.
Okay. All
That's
right.
it.
Any questions on that item? Okay, there's no action that needs to be taken. I will remind everyone that item number 2 has been pulled to the end, so after we come back from closed session, we will tackle that as well. But at this time, it is 11:04, and I will ask that the room be vacated so that we can go into closed session for a briefing and discussion with Wichita County District Attorney's Office regarding courthouse security policies. This meeting is closed pursuant to 551.089 of the government code, for deliberations about security devices.
Which is a good thing, yeah. it's a good
When's
thing.
it get here?
Right now.
Our annual visit from Lubbock?
Yeah.
Wayne said he was just coming back just to hear the judge read
Boy, let's
the
read some.
bid, and he loved that for it.
Let's bear down on the two-ply, whatever.
Well, now, Judge, can't we just state the,
I think we can, which is actually what I'm
and
gonna do.
the,
You don't have to read
Oh,
all
okay.
those.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if we have to read them in, we
Yeah,
should read them.
they get scanned in the record.
She's waiting on me.
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta get it back there.
All right, it is 11:47, and we are back from closed session, back in open session, in fact. Which brings us to item number 1, which is take action as necessary on closed session items. This time, we are not going to take any action. There was some good discussion and some amendments we need to make to the proposed adopted courthouse security policy. So we're gonna make those changes, get them published so that everybody can see before next week, and then to take them up next week. Which brings us back to item number 2 from general business, which is open and take action as necessary on janitor paper bids. So let's open the bids.
Okay. Drum roll.
All right.
So we have a bid from Mayfield Paper Company.
this can go with.
All right, hold on one second.
We don't
All right.
really need them, do we?
And rather than do what we have done in the past, which is read through every bid, these will be available if anyone wants to see them. Mayfield did make bid announcements on bid list A, bid list B, and bid list C, but nothing on bid list D. Oh, thank you.
You're gonna need a bigger space.
It's all my paper. All right, we've got a bid from Maller and Company.
Who?
Malor, Maller, Malor and Company, who submitted bids on bid list A, bid list B, bid list C, and bid list D.
Where are they out of? Say?
There is a street address, but nothing beyond that.
City.
So from 3 Columbus Circle on the 15th floor.
Your two-ply, 12-inch.
That's what it is, all that's there.
Oh, you got samples.
Yeah, they're, I think here, more than likely, that's all this company did.
Oh, yeah, it'll be. All right, we've got a bid here from
Okay, this goes with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
ARG Reliable Incorporated out of Staten Island, New York,
That's the,
who submitted a bid for bid list A, 1 item on bid list B, a couple of items on bid list C, and bid list D.
Shipping will not be an issue from New York.
And then we have
You got your,
samples and a bid submission from Interborough Packaging out of Montgomery, New York, who submitted a bid for a couple items on A, gloves, nothing on bid list B, can liners on bid list C. Looks like it different thickness, and then nothing on bid list D.
got your head cover for county tax assessor collector.
Those aren't body bag samples, are they?
Body bag samples.
Well, they're pretty thin.
They are pretty thin.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a bid from Pyramid School Products out of Tampa, Florida, who made bids on items from A, B, C, no bid on D. We've got a bid here from Empire Paper Company. We submitted bids for items on A, B, C, and D. They made a submission on every single item.
I mean, do you like the white better than the?
Got a submission from Wagner Supply here in Wichita Falls, who submitted bids on item A, or bid list A, bid list B, some items on C, and bid list D. And finally,
I think that's
all
it.
right,
We're out of candidates.
This would have been a lot better if you'd have read every line.
I'm sorry to disappoint the admiring masses.
Super disappointing.
Yes, and then we've got a bid submission from Unipack out of Long Branch, New Jersey, who did submissions on gloves from bid list A, can liners from bid list B, and did send samples. That is all of our bids.
Can I make a comment?
Yes,
I
please.
just want to reiterate to the court, and I'm sorry to say this, that Pyramid Paper our Pyramid School Supplies has been awful to deal with. Even though they bid a certain amount, when you go to buy it, they go, oh no, we mean that was the cost if you get 12 cases.
Yeah.
And so we've always had a problem with them. They are difficult, a little bit more difficult to order from, and there is a delay in receiving them shipping the products to you. That's the only one I know about that we've had issues with.
And I think, would any of y'all have an objection to when Tana is putting together our comparisons for us to review, her putting in notes or extra comments?
Oh,
No, that's very helpful.
Absolutely.
No, we don't wanna buy stuff that, or award a bid that we have a hard time.
It just
giving
ties
away.
our hands trying to buy from someone when somebody else really had a better price because they're not requiring us to buy 12 cases of it.
It's not always all about price.
No.
If you gotta jump through hoops to meet that price, then that's not really a competitive bid.
You're
And I know my thought doesn't count, but to me, I would rather buy local if it was anywhere close in the cost than
Yeah,
have to worry
same
about all
here.
the shipping from New York or,
Well,
wherever that's coming from. We've always had, with the exception of pricing sometimes, a good relationship, super good relationship with Wagner and Mayfield and a good relationship with Empire.
Yep.
Other than
I'd
the
much
pricing
rather buy
issues.
from somebody down the street than
Yep.
somebody up in New York or New Jersey.
Absolutely.
But I know that if it's way cheaper, we gotta do what we have to do, but that's just my opinion.
The statute ties our hands to some degree.
Right.
When we're figuring best value, we have some wiggle room, but there are,
I understand.
yeah, so, but, yeah, we hear you. Okay. Everyone good with, taking no action and just asking, Tana to put together a comparison and just for us to review? Okay.
Take
All right.
under advisement, motion to take under advisement.
Okay. I don't know that we,
Do we need it?
I don't think we need a motion on that. All right, then with no action taken as far as picking out a bid, believe that gets us through everything. It's 11:55.
We made
Court
it.